They're the headliner. No matter who they play, they're always going to be the headliner. It's Duke. Even money favorites to win the title. They are a 4.5-point favorite against Houston. 136.5. That is that's your total on this one. I find that kind of interesting because we have a couple teams that play slow. Now, we know, as efficient as Duke is, that they can put 100 up on people, but both of these teams play super slow. 269 tempo for Duke, 360 for Houston. According to efficiency, Sam, you've got the best offense with Duke going up against the best defense in Houston.
They're not getting 100 in this game. Team total for Duke,
No.
70.5. I look at Houston team total and lean under. As we've learned over the years, when limits go up closer to tip, usually we see more under money come in on Houston games. So the total now is what, 136.5, give or take?
Yep.
MGM has that number, 136.5. I think the total is going to close a point lower, maybe 1.5. That's my guess on where Houston Duke is going to go in terms of respected play. So I lean under, but I think the first bet I'm going to make is Houston team total under 65.5. They're not going to score at the rim because nobody does against Duke. They've got, two NBA bodies negating traffic and swatting shots at the rim. I also look at what Duke did perimeter-wise against Alabama. Now, Bama was never going to do what it did against BYU because you can't shoot that way 2 games in a row, and BYU doesn't play any defense. But Bama knocks in 25 threes against BYU and then shoots 8 of 32 against Duke. Now, that's a combination of Bama just cooling off, Duke having perimeter NBA guys with length and wingspan, and schematics. They were ready for Bama. They knew everything Bama was going to do. And when you add up all those factors, I don't think Houston has a chance to win a track meet. And what's the old adage, right? It's easier to slow a game down than it is to speed one up. I think Houston has to make this a rock fight. And this has to be the first to 60. Houston's not going to win 80 to 75, but Houston could win 62 to 60. So just given all of that and how I believe the game is going to play out, not to mention where the total should go, I think if you bet under 65.5 right now on Houston team total, you're going to get a better number than close, and you're going to have a really good chance to win that.
So we've talked about how top 4 of the top 10 KenPom teams all time, which goes back to the mid-90s, are left in this Final Four. Another interesting nugget. So all this chatter about the SEC, they end up getting 2 in the Final Four, 1 Big 12, 1 ACC. But offensive efficiency, 1, 2, and 3 still alive. People talk about balance year after year. But on offense, number 1, number 2, number 3 still alive. We're omitting Houston from that, but they're still top 10. So both top 10, these 4 teams, top 10 in offense, top 10 in defense. People talk about the KenPom 2020. Well, this year it's about the KenPom 10-10 with the 4 number 1 seeds making it here. Florida, a 2.5-point favorite. Obviously a higher total in that one going up against Auburn. That total is into the 160s. But the Gators favored by 2.5. They've been the hot team, the popular team for the last month or so. And we did see this matchup in the regular season with them being both in the SEC. Back on February 8th, Florida won at home by a score of 90 to 81.
I don't know, and I know that on a betting show, people don't want to hear us talk about this. I don't know that there's an edge on the side market. Even earlier when I was talking about Auburn, saying that I think the game should be closer to a pick 'em, I don't necessarily love taking 2.5 with the side. I don't know. I mean, I'll have some bets. I mentioned that Houston team total under, but I don't necessarily love these tight lines. And it gets more difficult the deeper you get into an NCAA tournament. When you're betting 32 games on that opening Thursday and Friday, you have edges. You have errors by the books. When there's 4 teams left, these lines are as tight as they can be. So whatever I bet, let me put it this way. I'm not going to have a sizable bet unless I hang out with Horvat all night and then need a recovery pill on Saturday in form of a bet. I'm not going to make a major wager on Houston Duke or Florida Auburn. You and I are both holding Duke. I think the whole show, in some way, shape, or form, Paul and Jake and Gerch, we all need Duke to win. And this will be another question we get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What do we do with our Duke futures? Nothing.
Nothing. You have the
Just
best team.
It. Yeah. The older I've gotten, the less I care about hedging. I'm not. What am I going to do? Bet Houston plus 4.5 and take away money from my pot when Duke wins? I'm not middling the Final Four. What I could do, if Duke does beat Houston, which I hope Duke does, I could then, in a 3-4 spread game, -3, -4, I could take the dog on the money line for a little bit in the title game. But, Joe, being honest with you, there's probably not much I'm going to do in the Final Four, and that's okay.
I'm not hedging a 6-1 ticket. Okay, so it's fine to have that conversation. I've always been that way. You said as you've gotten older, you hedge less and less. I usually do not hedge. Now, if it's a massive ticket and I want something out of it, yeah, and you're okay giving up some of your potential winnings, fine. I'll do it there. So let me ask you this, because you threw this out there. Minwoo Lee. Did you hedge with Minwoo Lee?
Nope.
Or did you just let it ride? Okay. Yeah. I'm good with that. That's a 40-1 ticket. That's why I bring it up. Like if it's 40-1, then I'm willing to have this this sort of conversation. But yeah, it's 6-1. Why? So what? I turned my ticket into 3-1? What's the point? And which team? Oh, so you're going to go Houston heavy, and then what if Duke wins? Then you're going to hedge again in the championship game? It's pointless. Nope. Completely pointless. Now you're giving everything away. Totally agree with you there.